them. Those people are always the threat to the status quo, to what is considered acceptable. In my case, for the last 9 years, some of my neighbors, some of my friends, colleagues, even my agent did not know about my history. I think in mystery, this is called a reveal. Here is mine. I was assigned boy at birth based on the appearance of my genitalia. I remember when I was 5 years old in the Philippines walking around our house, I would always wear this t-shirt in my head. And my mom asked me, "How come you always wear that t-shirt in your head?" I said, "Mom, this is my hair. I'm a girl." I knew then how to self-identify. Gender has always been considered a fact, immutable. But we now know it's actually more fluid, complex, and mysterious. Because of my success, I never had the courage to share my story. Not because I thought what I am is wrong, but because how the world treats those of us who wish to break free. Every day, I am so grateful because I am a woman. I have a mom and dad and family who accepted me for who I am. Many are not so fortunate. There's a long tradition in Asian culture that celebrates the fluid mystery of
Yes.
gender.
Yes,
There's a
start
Buddhist
the
goddess of
game
compassion.
already.
There's a Hindu goddess, Hydra goddess. So when I was 8 years old, I was at a fiesta in the Philippines celebrating these mysteries. I was in front of this stage, and I remember out comes this beautiful woman right in front of me.
Yes.
And I remember that moment, something hit me. That is the kind of woman I would like to be.
Almost.
So when I was 15 years old, still dressing as a boy, I met this woman named TL. She is a transgender beauty pageant manager. That night she asked me, "How come you were not joining the beauty pageant?" She convinced me that if I joined, that she will take care of the registration fee and the garments. And that night, I won Best in Swimsuit and Best in Long Gown and placed second runner-up amongst 40 plus candidates. That moment changed my life. All of a sudden, I was introduced to the world of beauty pageant. Not a lot of people could say that your first job is a pageant queen for transgender women, but I'll take it. So from 15 to 17 years old, I joined the most prestigious pageant, the pageant where it's at the back of the truck, literally, or sometimes it would be a pavement next to a rice field. And when it rains, which it rains a lot in the Philippines, the organizers will have to move it inside someone's house. I also experienced the goodness of strangers, especially when we would travel in remote province in the Philippines. But most importantly, I met some of my best friends in that community. In 2001, my mom, who had moved to San Francisco, called me and told me that my green card petition came through, that I could now move to the United States. I resisted it. I told my mom, "Mom, I'm having fun with my friends. I love traveling, being a beauty pageant queen." But then 2 weeks later, she told me, she said, "Did you know that if you moved to the United States, you could change your name and gender marker?" That was all I needed to hear. My mom also told me to put 2 E's in the spelling of my name. She also came with me when I had my surgery in Thailand at 19 years old. It's interesting, in some of the most rural city in Thailand, they perform some of the most prestigious, safe, and sophisticated surgery. At that time in the United States, you needed to have a surgery before you could change your name and gender marker. So in 2001, I moved to San Francisco. I remember looking at my California driver's license with the name Gina and gender marker F. That was a powerful moment. I mean, for some people, their ID is their license to drive or even to get a drink. But for me, that was my license to live. to feel dignified.
Almost.
I mean, all of a sudden, my fears were minimized. I felt that I could conquer my dream and move to New York and be a model.
Almost.
Many are not so fortunate.
Almost.
I think of this woman named Isla Nellis. She's from New York. She's a young woman who courageously living her truth, but hatred ended her life. For most of my community, this is the reality in which we live. Our suicide rate is 9 times higher than that of the general population. Every November 20th, we have a global vigil for Transgender Day of Remembrance. I mean, I'm here at this stage because it's a long history of people who fought and stood up for injustice. This is Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. Today, this very moment is my real coming out. I could no longer live my truth for and by myself. I want to do my best to help others live their truth without shame and terror. I am here, exposed, so that one day there will never be a need for November 20th vigil. My deepest truth allowed me to accept who I am. Will you? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gina, one quick question for you. I'm wondering, and I would say, especially to parents, but in a more broad way to friends, to family, to anyone who finds themselves encountering a child or a person who is struggling with and uncomfortable with the gender that's being assigned them, what might you say to the family members of that person to help them become good and caring and kind family members to them?
Well, first, really, I'm so blessed. I mean, the support system with my mom, especially, and my family, that in itself is just so powerful. I mean, I remember every time I would coach young trans women, would mentor them, and sometimes when they would call me and tell me that their parents can't accept it, I would pick up that phone call and tell my mom, can you call this woman? And like, does it. So, but it's this gender identities in the core of our being, right? I mean, we're all assigned gender at birth. So what I'm trying to do is to have this conversation that sometimes that gender assignment doesn't match. And there should be a space that would allow people to self-identify. And that's a conversation that we should have with parents, with colleagues, and the transgender movement, it's at the very beginning compared to how the gay movement started. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There should be an understanding. There should be a space of curiosity and asking questions. And I hope all of you guys will be my allies.
Thank you, that was so lovely.
Thank
you. Isa. Rogan? Isa. Thomas. Rogan?
Human beings start putting each other into boxes the second that they see each other. Is that person dangerous? Are they attractive? Are they a potential mate? Are they a potential networking opportunity? We do this little interrogation when we meet people to make a mental resume for them. What's your name? Where are you from? How old are you? What do you do? Then we get more personal with it. Have you ever had any diseases? Have you ever been divorced? Does your breath smell bad while you're answering my interrogation right now? What are you into? Who are you into? What gender do you like to sleep with? I get it. We are neurologically hardwired to seek out people like ourselves. We start forming cliques as soon as we're old enough to know what acceptance feels like. We bond together based on anything that we can. Music preference, race, gender, the block that we grew up on. We seek out environments that reinforce our personal choices. Sometimes, though, just the question, what do you do, I feel like somebody's opening a tiny little box and asking out of it, because the categories I found are too limiting. The boxes are too narrow. And this can get really dangerous. So here's a disclaimer about me, though, before we get too deep into this. I grew up in a very sheltered environment. I was raised in downtown Manhattan in the early 1980s, 2 blocks from the epicenter of punk music. I was shielded from the pains of bigotry and the social restrictions of religiously based upbringing. Where I come from, if you weren't a drag queen or a rag speaker or a performance artist of some kind, you were the weirdo. It was an unorthodox upbringing, but as a kid on the streets of New York, you learn how to trust your own instincts. You learn how to go with your own ideas. So when I was 6, I decided that I wanted to be a boy. I went to school one day and the kids wouldn't let me play basketball with them. They said they wouldn't let me play basketball. So I went home and I shaved my head and I came back the next day and I said, I'm a boy. I mean, who knows, right? When you're 6. I didn't want anyone to know that I was a girl, and they didn't. I kept up the charade for 8 years. So, this is me when I was 11. I was a kid named Walter in a movie called Edie and Poe. I was a little street tough that followed Christian Slater around in Battery. See, I was also a child actor, which doubled up the layers of the performance of my identity, because no one knew that I was actually a girl really playing a boy. In fact, no one in my life knew that I was a girl. Not my teachers at school, not my friends, not the directors that I worked with. Kids would often come up to me in class and grab me by the throat, grab my crotch to check what I was working with. When I would go to the bathroom, I would turn my shoes around in the stall so that it looked like I was peeing standing up. At sleepovers, I would have panic attacks trying to break it to girls that they didn't want to kiss me without outing myself. It's worth mentioning, though, that I didn't hate my body or my genitalia. I didn't feel like I was in the wrong body. I felt like I was performing this elaborate act. I wouldn't have qualified as transgender. If my family, though, had been the kind of people to believe in therapy, they probably would have diagnosed me as something like gender dysmorphic and put me on hormones to stave off puberty. But in my particular case, I just woke up one day when I was 14 and I decided that I wanted to be a girl again. Puberty had hit and I had no idea what being a girl meant, and I was ready to figure out who I actually was. When a kid behaves like I did, they don't exactly have to come out, right? No one is exactly shocked. But I wasn't asked to define myself by my parents. When I was 15 and I called my father to tell him that I had fallen in love, it was the last thing on either of our minds to discuss what the consequences were of the fact that my first love was a girl. 3 years later, when I fell in love with a man,